Now, I'm in this shop and I don't really understand it. I think it's an emo shop, but I love it how they snuck in the Masonic symbolism on their t-shirts. Look, obviously you got the sun and the moon, yeah? Obviously they got the sun and the moon, yeah? Freakmasonry, and obviously it's the 4 pyramids in the corner. But look how they've made the A's, look. Where's the A? There, let's see it, look. See, it's a Masonic A, look. See how they've done that? And in romance, look. See that little tick just in the A makes it the square and Cumpiss. But before we get into that, look, obviously I've shown you the Masonic floor of the shop, yeah, but they've snuck it into other things, and I'm like, wow, you know, how are they getting away with it? Like this, look, for instance. See, on the clothes, the checkers, yeah. Again, I think this is another, you know, how to control the youth, you know, like back in the day when they did the, you know, and you got your Masonic hats, look. And you got your Masonic hat up here. So again, I think this is a company run by Freakmasons that is pushing that emo or that alternative, whatever they call it, do you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about, you know. I don't know what it is. It's an emu shop. I can't remember what it's called, what the shop's called. Damaged Society, yeah? It's called Damaged Society, but I think that's being pushed by Freakmasons. Obviously on the back wall, that you got the Masonic apron and the all-seeing eye within the pyramid. And then you got your 3 sides and your crossed anchors. Look, you see, that's Masonic, which is, you know, but it's all over the place, you know, and I'm just seeing that and I'm thinking, boom. But this is just another, you know, again, one of them things where they're pushing like cartoons, you know, little cartoons and silly things like that on adults, you know, young women, you know, they're quite young women, and there's like an old dude in here, you know, he's like dressed as a punk type thing. But I just think that's, you know, how they keep the youth in control, you know what I mean? They control the youth, they control the narrative, do you know what I mean? I mean, look at him, see what I mean? Up, down, side crosses and all that, look. And you can see the 6 obviously, but I just think they're just pushing it on the youth. They're the ones doing it all the time, you know what I mean? Because if you can't control the youth, you can't control nothing, can you? Do you know what I mean? Because that's the next, you know, generation of people you need to control, you know what I mean? You know, I just see, you know, I'm just seeing a lot of symbolism, you know, and I just think it's mad. Look, you got C, C, C. See, there's C's, you see that? Which is obviously, you know, 3, 3, 3, and then you've got 6, 6, 6, you see, and it's all within a circle. You've got your 3 points, which make the Masonic cube, you see, but none of them, you know, and I did ask the lady, I said, do you understand any of this symbolism, you know, and obviously she didn't, so I don't know. I mean, like I said, when I'm seeing a lot of square and Cumpiss and a lot of black and white tile floor all over the place, you know, in their hats and the materials and things like that, then I know, you know, that it's not a normal, you know, it's not a normal thing to push, you know. Look, CUNT, Masonic black and white hat, you know, do you see what I mean? And like I said, the A's, all the A's are all Masonic. They got that little small tick, just enough for the Brotherhood to see that it's a Masonic, you know, leave it alone, because we're, you know, we're controlling it and we're running it, you know. So it's sort of like the goth industry is being pushed by the Freakmasons by the look of things. But like I said, I don't know if they call themselves alternatives or whatever, aren't they, you know what I mean? So, but you know, I mean, the clothes are good, you know, I'm not moaning about the clothes or anything like that. I just don't like it that the Freakmasons are behind it and they're controlling the narrative on it, like they did with, you know, with with the scooter gangs and things like that, you see what I mean? I just think that's wrong, you know, the way they do it. But they have to do it because they have to control the narrative, as I said, you know. But people don't see it, they don't understand it, you know. Like on that side of that bag there, look, it's the Masonic cube, look, you see? See, look, it's the Masonic cube. But it's, you know, it's 2, 3, 2, look, 2, 3, 2. But they don't understand the symbolism, you know, the all-seeing eye, look, the pyramid, you see what I mean, within the circle, and there's 3 circles, look, 1 circle, 2 circle, 3 circle, you see, very slight, you know. Look, see the Masonic cubes, look, within the pyramid, look, See, 6, 6, 6. You've got 3 on this side, 3 on that side for 33 degrees. And you've got 3 circles that 1, 2, 3. 3 circles make a square. See, and they're just pushing that narrative very slight in everything I'm seeing. You know, the Moloch butterfly with the death's head, you know, if that is what it represents, I don't know, I can't tell. You know, like I said, I don't know everything, I wish I did. Yeah, but it is interesting to see how they've done that on a slight, you know, very slight basis. You know, like you've got the 3 pyramids here, look. See, and the sun hieroglyph of Ra. See? So I don't know. You know what I mean? But if it, you know, but if you ask them, they ain't got a clue. They ain't got a clue. They don't know the secret or the symbols that they represent and what they're putting on themselves. You know, just by what they're putting on themselves is, you know, is a hex. You know, a friggin', you know, a rune. You're putting a rune on yourself. You know what I mean? You're marking yourself with a Masonic item. You know, that, you know, and that's what I think it's all about. You know, putting that hex on yourself. Why would you do that? I mean, that's a rune. Look, so I mean, why would you, you know? But a lot of these youths don't know. They just think it's like a decoration when it's not. It's actually a rune. You know, you're putting pentagrams on yourself, but they're different. Obviously, different thingies represents different items, doesn't it? You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. Look, there's the all-seeing eye. Look, witch bitch, the all-seeing eye. See? So I don't know, man. You tell me. You know what I mean? That black and white. You know. Then I mean, what is all that about? You know what I mean? I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. You know. But I know when I see a black and white tiled floor, yeah, I'm seeing Masonic A's all over the fucking place. You know. I know I'm talking, you know, we're talking Freemasonry. There's no other excuse for it, you know. It's mad, isn't it? Anyway, my profane friends, I just thought I'd just show that out of interest. Look, it's all in there, let's see. Don't know what that is. It's a scarf or something. But why has it got Masonic symbolism in it, you know? Because they're running the narrative on the chart. That'll be the Lewises, you know, the Lewises, they'll be the ones that are doing it. Their children, you see. They bring it to the forefront, you know what I mean? And then when it all gets popular, as it is now, they're the ones to melt back. And you know, they've made and created that problem, and then they've got that mindset, you know, where they've programmed them in a mindset, and it's a divide and a conquer. You see what I mean? Because emos or whatever won't get on with whoever, and you know what I mean? It's all that divide and conquer, you know. The more we can split up society with a different mindset, the better it is, you know. Anyway, have a great day, my profane friends. It's so wonderful here, I tell you, I can't believe it. It's just unreal, the like the stuff, what, you know, it's just crazy. You know what I mean? It's mad. Look, I know this, yeah. You see it, look, it's a square and the Cumpiss, but it's 3 circles, look. 1 circle, 2 circle, 3 circles. It makes a square. But they don't understand it. You know what I mean? Not like we do anyway. It's wonderful. So great, I like. Alright, thank you my profane friends. Have a great day.